I'm probably more optimistic about the team than I am Andre Civil. That would be one. Paul Carazola was back with us running around today, so that was nice to see that. I don't know if he's ready for contact just yet, but we're optimistic, that we'll have him for Thursday night. Who else would you like to know? Oh, Deering was running around tonight, so we feel good about him. I feel good that he'll play on Thursday night.
How's Savon?
Savon, we had some tests done today. We're still waiting for the results. So until we get those, I don't know if I can even comment on it.
And Marcus Thompson?
And Marcus Thompson, same thing. We did some tests on Marcus. So I think by tomorrow morning we'll know, and we're going to have to know because the week is moving on.
You said Civil's worse. Is it long term?
I don't think so. I just think the short week. If you're an offensive lineman and you can't practice, it's hard to go in a game. It really is. It's hard to do it. You almost put them in a position you'd rather not if you can avoid it. So I'm more optimistic for the team, although I'm not ready to say that either guy is going to play on Thursday night yet.
How did McBride and Taj do when they filled in for both those guys?
I thought they did a nice job. I really did. The first thing with McBride, anytime you put another center in there, is that you want to make sure he takes care of the football. And he did a nice job of it. There was one low shotgun snap. I thought we could have caught it, but it wasn't where it's supposed to be, so it's kind of on both guys. But he did a nice job. He did a solid job in there. And I think as the game went on, he got better. Backups get more reps at other positions than maybe the backup quarterback does, but they still don't get as many as the starters. So you get put in a game, maybe you had 30% of the reps for the week being a backup, and I thought, considering that, he did a nice job, and I feel the same way about Taj.
Is there a frustration level because you had the continuity with this line? It looked like it was coming together, and now you have to disrupt that continuity?
It's not really frustration because injuries happen. You can't control them, and you always have to take the mentality that the next guy is in, he's the starter, and we're moving forward because injuries can happen at any point.
Your initial thoughts on USF?
They're an excellent football team. They're a really, really talented football team. On defense, they certainly did a great job against us last year. They're always tough to handle up front. It seems like every year they've got more and more defensive linemen in their program that are really hard to block. They've got probably one of the best playmakers in our conference on offense playing quarterback for them, a guy who's very difficult to contain. Led them to 2 late scoring drives last week against a good Nevada team that had a big win the week before. They're an excellent football team. This is a tremendous challenge always to win Big East football games, but even more so to win this one, to try to go down there and win on the road is going to be a real test for our football team.
Kyle, what are some of the problems with getting ready on such short notice? I mean, usually on Sundays you're kind of stretching guys out, you go over film and everything. How much does the week change?
It changes because you don't have as much time to recover. That's the first part. You guys were asking about some of the injury issues, and those answers have to get solved quicker. That's the first issue you have. You have the time constraints on getting the game plan ready, but as coaches, we're used to that. We do that. We're used to operating like that. We try to do as much in advance as we can, and then when we get the most recent game, we do what we have to do from the end of last night's game until today when we got the players in for meetings. So that part we're really ready for. It's really more just getting the players who got dinged up a little bit back and going, so that you try to get them all the reps you would get them in a normal week. That's probably the greatest challenge.
Are you able to go over tape from Howard and then also game plan stuff like today?
What you have to do.
I mean, with the players too.
Right. Well, for us, we do it.
Right.
I mean, we spend as much time as we need to, and sleep is really not important during the season for the coaches. But what we do is we take whatever pieces of the Howard game we feel apply this week, and that's what we use. If we don't feel like it's going to apply this week, then we really don't have time. We'll go back to it maybe on a bye week, when we have a little bit more time, because you really have to move forward quickly. Today for us was Tuesday. It was first and second down, and that game plan went in, and in the next 18 hours, third down is going in, red zone is going in. So 18 hours from now, about 90% of the game plan will be in.
Kyle, after watching film, what are your thoughts on Gary? Have they changed from yesterday at all? Or?
I think Gary could do a couple things maybe to help himself, but I think more importantly, there's a lot of things the other 10 guys around him can do to help him. And I think if that happens, he won't need to help himself as much. So my opinion really hasn't changed. I'm not concerned about it because I really believe the players around him are going to play better as we continue.
When you talk about him helping himself, I know you want to get into specifics, but is it more reads? Is it pre-snap? I mean, can you talk a little bit about what he can do to help himself?
I don't know if I want to talk about that. I'm sure our opponents are trying to figure that out. I think it's probably more obvious in some of the ways, some of the drops where, the other 10 guys around him can help.
How much do you have to improve in 4 days to beat South Florida on the road?
I don't think you know that until the game starts. I think every game takes on a personality of its own, and there are. I've been involved in games where you had to win them 7-3, and I've been involved in games where you had to win them 41-38. And I've been involved in those types of games all in the same season. I want to say it was 2007 or 2008 where we really struggled offensively the first part of the year, and then it was like an explosion, the second half of the year, and you don't really know when it's coming. And we were able to win some of those higher scoring games. I remember a game at Pitt that was a fairly high scoring game that we had to win on the road that year. So I don't know what we will need to do to win the football game. I know we have to play better than we did this week. That's for sure. And we got a couple practices in between now and then to hopefully make that happen.
Did you make that improvement game 1 to game 2 that you might hope for? Since everybody, coaches always talk about that, the biggest.
Sure. I think we made improvements in certain areas. I'm certainly pleased with the way our defense is playing. I think the way that game went, as the fourth quarter went on, we had the opportunity to play some other guys and kind of test them out a little bit. So maybe the statistics on defense weren't as gaudy as they were the first game. But I do feel like we made some strides. And now we're going to have to make some more, to win a Big East football game.
Have you, or do you plan on talking to Curtis Johnson?
I reached out to Coach Johnson this morning. I got his voicemail. I left him a message and just said if there's anything he feels like we can do by way of information. I gave him my cell phone number, but I'm sure he's got a lot of good people down there that are helping him right now, and he'll reach out if he needs something.
The running back position, are you a little concerned if Savon can't go? Martin would be the 2, I guess?
Yeah, right now Ben's our 2, and Des would be our 3, and I'm not really concerned. Again, injuries are – I've never been one to worry about injuries. I was like that as a position coach. I feel that way as a head football coach. Unfortunately, injuries are going to happen throughout a season, and we're optimistic we'll get Savon back at some point. Whether or not that's this week, we'll find out probably in the next 24 hours to 48 hours. But, Ben's a good football player. Desmond's a good football player. They're talented guys. They've been working hard all year. And if their opportunity arises, we'll expect them to step up to it.
So Paul James is still out?
Paul James is still out right now.